The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the enormous space. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through them with steady steps, her black boots clicking against the polished floor. Behind her walked 12 other humans, all dressed in the simple gray uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps. Their faces showed no emotion as thousands of alien eyes watched them enter. The chamber was huge beyond imagination. It could hold 50,000 beings from across the galaxy. Today, every seat was filled. Representatives from over 200 different alien species had come to hear what the humans wanted to say. Some floated in special tanks filled with liquid. Others hung from the ceiling on mechanical arms. Many stood on legs, though they had different numbers of them. Elena reached the center of the chamber where a small platform waited. She stepped onto it and the platform rose into the air, lifting her high enough so every being in the chamber could see her. The noise of thousands of conversations slowly died away until the chamber was completely silent. "People of the galaxy," Elena began, her voice carried by speakers to every corner of the massive room. "For 300 years, humanity has been part of this council. We have followed your laws. We have respected your customs. We have traded fairly and kept our promises." A low murmur ran through the crowd. The humans were known for being polite and peaceful. They always followed the rules. They never caused trouble. Most alien species saw them as useful, but weak. "Today that changes," Elena continued. "From this moment forward, the Sol system, and all space within 50 light-years of Earth is declared to be human territory. No alien ship may enter this space without permission from Earth's government." The silence broke like a dam bursting. Thousands of voices erupted at once. Some aliens shouted in anger. Others made sounds of surprise or confusion. The translator system struggled to keep up with all the different languages. Chancellor Thex of the hegemony stood up in his special section. He was 8 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like green leather. His species controlled more star systems than any other. "This is madness," he shouted, his voice booming over the others. "Humans have no right to claim so much space. You are newcomers here. You have been in space for only 300 years, while some of us have traveled between stars for thousands." Ambassador Vasquez waited calmly for the noise to die down. She had expected this reaction. The human delegation had planned for it. "Chancellor Thex," she said when she could be heard again, "in those 300 years, how many times has your species asked permission before sending ships through our star system?" The Chancellor's mouth opened and closed without sound. The answer was never. No alien species had ever asked humans for permission to travel through human space. "How many times have alien mining companies taken materials from asteroids in our system without paying us?" Elena continued. "How many times have alien ships used our colonies as stopping points without asking? How many times have your scientific expeditions studied our worlds and our people like we were animals in a zoo?" The chamber was getting quieter now. Many of the alien representatives looked uncomfortable. What the human was saying was true. For 300 years, alien species had treated human space like it belonged to everyone. Trade Prince Vex of the Zephyrians rose from his seat. His people looked like giant insects with shiny blue skin. They controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes. "Human," he said in his clicking voice, "you speak of things that are normal. Space belongs to all civilized species. Your worlds are just stopping points on trade routes that have existed for thousands of years." "Normal for you," Elena replied, "but not acceptable to us. We have tried to discuss this through proper channels. For 50 years we have filed formal complaints with this council. We have asked politely for respect for our territory. We have requested that alien ships at least notify us when they enter our system." She paused and looked around the chamber. "Every single request has been ignored or denied. We have been told that humans must accept the way things are because we are new to the galaxy. We have been told that our concerns are not important enough to change thousands of years of tradition." Dr. Zeth of the Vorden Collective began to glow brighter. Her people were made of living crystal and communicated through light patterns. "Surely the humans understand that their small military cannot enforce such a large claim," she said. "You have perhaps 1,000 ships. The combined fleets of the galaxy number in the millions. Elena smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant smile. Dr. Zeth, that brings us to the second part of our announcement. Any alien ship that enters Terran space without permission will be considered an act of war against humanity. Such ships will be destroyed. The chamber erupted again, but this time the sounds were different. There was anger, yes, but also laughter. Many aliens found the human threat amusing. How could such a young species threaten the established powers of the galaxy? Commander Vash of the Corlean Empire stood up. His people were warriors who looked like giant wolves walking on two legs. "Little human," he growled. "My species has conquered 100 worlds. Our ships are the size of your cities. Are you truly threatening us?" "I am not threatening anyone," Elena replied calmly. "I am stating a fact. Terran space is now closed to unauthorized alien ships. This is not a request or a negotiation. This is simply what will happen." High Priest Keller of the Mystic Orders raised his staff. His people were tall and thin with large eyes and pale skin. They were known for their wisdom and their ability to see the future. "Young ambassador," he said in his soft voice, "surely you must know that such an action will lead to war. The galaxy will not accept this challenge to the established order." Elena nodded. "We know exactly what we are doing, High Priest. We have considered all possibilities. We are prepared for any response." "Prepared?" Chancellor Thex laughed, a harsh sound. "Humans prepare by building a few more ships? By training? A few more soldiers? Child, the hegemony alone has more warships than your entire species has ever built." "Perhaps," Elena said, "but you assume that we have been idle for the past 50 years while our requests were ignored. You assume that we have been building ships in the same way we always have. You assume that our technology has not advanced since we joined this council." She paused and looked directly at Chancellor Thex. "You assume that we think like you do. That we would challenge the galaxy without being absolutely certain we could win." The chamber was completely silent now. For the first time, some of the alien representatives were beginning to wonder if they had misjudged the humans. "This declaration takes effect immediately," Elena continued. "All alien ships currently in Terran space have 72 hours to leave. After that time, any unauthorized alien vessel found in our territory will be destroyed without warning." She looked around the chamber one more time. "We tried to do this peacefully. We tried to follow your rules and work within your system. But you left us no choice. From now on, Terran space belongs to Terrans." The platform began to lower, bringing Elena back to the floor. The human delegation turned and walked toward the exit, their footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. As they reached the doors, Elena stopped and turned back. "Oh, and one more thing," she called out. "We know about the humans you have been taking. We know about the experiments. We know about the infiltrators you have placed in our colonies. That ends now, too." The doors closed behind the humans, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. For long minutes, no one moved or spoke. Finally, Chancellor Thex found his voice. "They are bluffing," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "They must be bluffing." But deep in their hearts, many of the alien representatives were beginning to suspect that the humans were not bluffing at all, and that terrified them more than any threat of war ever could. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the quiet ones are quiet for a reason. 3 weeks after the humans made their bold declaration, Admiral Cortex sat in his command chair aboard the mighty dreadnought Unbreakable Will. The ship was a monster of metal and energy weapons, over 2 miles long and armed with enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Around him floated 70 other ships of the hegemony fleet, each one a deadly weapon of war. The Admiral's 4 arms moved across his control panels as he read the orders that had come directly from the hegemony capital. The message was simple: test the humans, show them that their threats meant nothing, prove to the galaxy that the established powers would not bow to upstart newcomers. "Navigation," Cortex called out to his bridge crew. "Set course directly through the Sol system, maximum speed." His navigation officer, A young hegemony warrior named Vex looked up from his station. "Sir, that will take us directly through the center of the space the humans claim as their territory." "Exactly," Cortex replied with satisfaction. "Let the humans try to stop the mightiest fleet in hegemony space. Let them learn what happens when children try to threaten their betters." The fleet moved forward through space at incredible speed. Each ship was protected by energy shields that could stop almost any weapon. Their hulls were made of the strongest metals known to science. Their crews were trained warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. As they approached the boundary of what the humans called Terran space, the fleet's sensors began scanning for any sign of human ships. For hours, they detected nothing. Space seemed empty and peaceful. "Maybe the humans have already given up," suggested Commander Zeth, the fleet's tactical officer. "Maybe they realized their mistake and decided not to fight." Admiral Cortex was not so sure. The humans had seemed very confident during their announcement, too confident for a species that should have been terrified of challenging the galaxy's great powers. When they reached the 48 light-year mark from Earth, everything changed. A single small ship appeared on their sensors. It was tiny compared to the massive hegemony vessels. The scanner reading showed it was a human corvette called Defiant Dawn. It was less than 300 meters long and armed with only basic weapons. "One ship?" Commander Zeth laughed. "They send one tiny ship to stop an entire fleet?" The human ship moved to block their path. It was like a small dog trying to stop a herd of elephants. A communication signal came from the human vessel. "Hegemony fleet," came a calm female voice. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. You are approaching restricted Terran space. Turn back now, or you will be fired upon." Admiral Cortex activated his own communication system. "Little human," he said, his voice full of amusement. "Look around you. We have 70 ships. Each one is larger and more powerful than your entire vessel. You threaten us with a single tiny ship?" "I am not threatening you," Captain Chen replied. Her voice was still completely calm. "I am informing you. This is your last warning. Leave Terran space immediately." The Admiral gestured with one of his forearms. "Human, your ship is not even large enough to be target practice for my weapons. Move aside, or we will destroy you without even slowing down." "I understand," Captain Chen said. "You have made your choice." The communication ended. For a moment, nothing happened. The tiny human ship hung in space before the massive alien fleet like a single star before the darkness of night. Then Defiant Dawn opened fire. The human ship's weapons were unlike anything the hegemony had seen before. Instead of simple energy, beams or projectiles, streams of superheated plasma wrapped in gravitational fields struck out from the small vessel. The plasma moved faster than light itself and hit with the force of a small star. The lead destroyer of the hegemony fleet, the Sharp Blade, took the first hit. The plasma beam punched through its shields like they were made of paper. The gravitational field that wrapped the plasma tore the ship's hull apart at the molecular level. In less than 3 seconds, a ship that had taken 5 years to build became expanding gas and metal fragments. "Impossible," shouted Commander Zeth. "No ship that small could have weapons that powerful." But even as he spoke, alerts began sounding throughout the hegemony fleet. Dozens of new contacts were appearing on their sensors. Human ships were uncloaking all around them. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them. The humans had been waiting. They had known exactly when and where the hegemony fleet would arrive. They had prepared a trap that was perfect in every detail. "Battle stations!" Admiral Cortex roared. "All ships, open fire! Destroy these humans!" But the human ships moved like nothing the hegemony had ever faced. They were fast and agile, dodging between the larger alien vessels with impossible grace. Their weapons fired with deadly accuracy, each shot carefully aimed at the weakest points of the hegemony ships. The battle lasted only 17 minutes. When it was over, 63 of the 70 hegemony ships were either destroyed or crippled, beyond repair. The humans had lost exactly 0 vessels. Admiral Cortex found himself trapped on the bridge of his damaged dreadnought. Half his crew was dead. His ship's weapons were offline. His shields were down. Emergency lights flickered as systems failed throughout the massive vessel. A communication signal came from the small human corvette that had started the battle. Captain Chen's face appeared on his screen. She looked exactly the same as she had before the fighting began. Calm, professional, completely in control. "Admiral Cortex," she said. "Do you need assistance with evacuating your surviving crew members?" "How?" Cortex whispered. "How did you do this? Our ships are the most powerful in the galaxy. Our weapons are the most advanced. Our crews are the best trained." Captain Chen tilted her head slightly. "You made several mistakes, Admiral. First, you assumed that human technology has not improved since we joined the Galactic Council. Second, you assumed that we would fight the way you fight. And third, you assumed that we were not prepared for this exact situation." "Prepared?" Cortex struggled to understand. "You knew we were coming?" "Admiral, we have known about this test for 6 months. We knew which ships you would bring, which route you would take, and exactly when you would arrive. We have been watching and listening to your communications since long before our ambassador made her declaration." The Admiral felt a chill run through his body. "You have been spying on us." "We have been protecting ourselves," Captain Chen corrected. "For 50 years we tried to work with you through peaceful means. When that failed, we began preparing for war. We studied your tactics. We learned your weaknesses. We developed weapons specifically designed to defeat your technology." She paused. "You tested our resolve, Admiral. Now you know the result of that test. Human rescue ships began arriving to collect the survivors from the destroyed hegemony vessels. They worked efficiently and professionally, treating even their enemies with medical care and respect. As Admiral Cortex was transferred to a human medical ship, he heard Captain Chen giving orders to her fleet. "All ships, begin salvage operations. Recover all human technology and any useful alien equipment. Destroy anything that might be used to reverse engineer our weapons, and send a message to Earth Command. The first test is complete." Operation Border Guard was a complete success. The Admiral realized with growing horror that this had all been planned. Every detail had been thought out in advance. The humans had not just been ready for this attack. They had been hoping for it. As his rescue ship carried him away from the wreckage of his once mighty fleet, Admiral Cortex understood that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated the humans completely, and now they were going to pay the price for that mistake. The news of the hegemony fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy within hours. In council chambers and military headquarters on 1,000 worlds, alien leaders realized that the humans had not been bluffing. They had been warning the galaxy of what was to come, and the galaxy had not listened. Now it was too late to listen. Now it was time to face the consequences of ignoring the quiet species from the small blue world. The revelation Dr. Marcus Webb stood before the largest gathering of alien reporters in galactic history. Behind him, a massive screen displayed images that would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity. The human scientist appeared calm, but those who looked closely could see the anger burning in his eyes. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all species," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the communication systems that would broadcast his words to every world in the galaxy. 3 days ago, human forces destroyed a hegemony fleet that violated our territorial borders. Today, I will explain why that action was not only justified, but long overdue. The gathered reporters stirred uneasily. Most of them had come expecting to hear about human military technology or perhaps some political statement about the border conflict. None of them were prepared for what Dr. Webb was about to reveal. For the past 53 years, Dr. Webb continued, several alien species have been conducting illegal operations within human space. These operations involve the systematic kidnapping of human civilians for the purpose of biological and psychological experimentation. The screen behind him lit up with images that made several alien reporters step back in horror. Medical tables, covered with restraints. Surgical equipment designed to work on human anatomy. And worst of all, holding cells that had clearly been occupied by human prisoners. These images were taken from facilities we discovered on 17 different worlds belonging to 5 separate alien governments. In these facilities, We found evidence of experiments that violate every law of civilization and decency. Dr. Webb pressed a control and the screen showed a new image. It was a young human woman, perhaps 20 years old, lying unconscious on a medical table. Her body was covered with surgical scars and strange metal implants. This is Sarah Martinez. She was taken from a human mining colony 8 years ago. Her family was told she died in an accident. For 8 years she was kept in a Zephyrian research facility where alien scientists performed over 200 surgical procedures on her body and brain. The screen changed again. This time it showed a man in his 40s with hollow eyes and a haunted expression. This is engineer Paul Chen. He was kidnapped from a human space station 6 years ago. The Vorthon Collective used him to test new forms of mind control technology. They erased his memories and rebuilt his personality 7 times, studying how humans respond to psychological torture. The alien reporters were silent now. Many of them were beginning to understand the terrible implications of what they were seeing. In total, Dr. Webb said, we have recovered 3,247 human prisoners from alien facilities. These people were taken from their families, their homes, their lives, and treated like laboratory animals. Some of them were children when they were taken. Some of them have been prisoners for decades. The screen showed row after row of human faces, men and women of all ages, many bearing the scars of alien experimentation. Their eyes all held the same expression, the look of people who had survived something terrible. But kidnapping was not the only crime committed against humanity, Dr. Webb continued. We also discovered that several alien species have been replacing humans with infiltrators designed to spy on our government and military. The screen changed to show what appeared to be a normal human man. Then the image shifted, revealing the same figure with alien technology visible beneath artificial skin. This infiltrator was discovered in the Earth Defense Ministry 3 years ago. It had been there for 12 years. Sending detailed reports about human military capabilities to its hegemony controllers. We have found 47 such infiltrators in positions throughout human space. The implications hit the alien reporters like a physical blow. If humans had known about these infiltrators for years, what else did they know? How much of what the aliens thought was secret had actually been discovered by human intelligence? The most disturbing discovery, Dr. Webb said, was the systematic study of human combat psychology. Alien researchers were particularly interested in understanding how humans fight, how we make tactical decisions, and how we respond to overwhelming odds. He paused and looked directly into the cameras that were broadcasting his words across the galaxy. They were studying us to learn how to defeat us. They were preparing for the day when they would need to conquer humanity completely. The screen showed documents written in alien languages, but with human translation provided. Battle plans, invasion strategies, detailed studies of human weaknesses and strengths. The Corlean Empire has been developing weapons specifically designed to be effective against human biology. The Mystic Orders have been working on ways to control human minds on a planetary scale. The trade federations have been mapping every human colony and resource depot. Dr. Webb pressed another control, and the screen showed a star map of human space. Red markers indicated the locations where humans had been kidnapped. Blue markers showed the positions of alien spy networks. Yellow markers identified worlds where alien weapons had been tested on human subjects. For over 50 years, while we traded with you, worked with you, and considered you our partners in civilization, many of you were treating us like a future enemy to be studied and eventually defeated. The silence in the room was absolute. Even the aliens who belonged to species not mentioned in Dr. Webb's presentation were beginning to understand the scope of what had been happening. Now you understand why humanity declared its borders closed, Dr. Webb said. Now you understand why we were prepared for your test of our resolve. We have been watching you watch us. We have been learning about you while you thought you were learning about us. He gestured to the screen, which now showed images of the destroyed hegemony fleet. Admiral Cortex thought he was testing human military capability. In reality, he was walking into a trap that we began preparing the day we discovered the first kidnapped human. Every ship he brought, every weapon he carried, every tactic he might use, We had studied them all. The screen changed again, showing technical diagrams of hegemony ships with their weak points clearly marked. We know how your ships work because we have been inside them. We know how your weapons function because we have studied them in detail. We know your battle tactics because we have been watching you practice them for decades. Dr. Webb turned away from the screen and faced the alien reporters directly. You want to know how a single human corvette destroyed a hegemony destroyer in 3 seconds? We designed our weapons specifically to exploit the weaknesses in hegemony shield technology. You want to know how we detected your fleet before it reached our borders? We have been monitoring your communications and tracking your ship movements for years. The implications were staggering. If humans had penetrated alien technology so completely, if they had been monitoring alien activity so thoroughly, then everything the galaxy thought it knew about human capabilities was wrong. Some of you are wondering how far our knowledge extends, Dr. Webb continued. You are wondering what other secrets we have discovered, what other preparations we have made. You are wondering if your own species has been compromised. He smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. You should be wondering about those things, because over the past 50 years, while you thought you were studying us, we have been studying you right back. And we have been much better at it than you were. The screen behind him went dark. This press conference is being broadcast to every world in the galaxy. The evidence we have presented will be made available to any government that requests it. The rescued human prisoners will be returned to their families. The alien infiltrators we have captured will be returned to their governments. Dr. Webb paused. But make no mistake, this revelation changes everything. The galaxy now knows that several of its most powerful governments are willing to commit crimes against sapient beings. Humanity now knows that we cannot trust those who smile at us in council chambers while conducting experiments on our people in hidden laboratories. He looked directly into the main camera. The age of easy friendship between humans and aliens is over. From now on, every relationship will be based on verification, not trust. Every agreement will be watched carefully. Every alien in human space will be monitored constantly. Dr. Webb began to walk away from the podium, then stopped and turned back. Oh, and one more thing. If we discover that any more humans have been taken, if we find any more infiltrators, if we detect any more hostile activities against our people. He paused. What happened to the hegemony fleet will seem gentle compared to our response. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Within hours, alien governments began receiving detailed reports from their intelligence services. The reports all said the same thing. Human technological capabilities had been vastly underestimated. Human intelligence networks were far more extensive than anyone had imagined. And human patience had finally run out. The galaxy was beginning to understand that they had awakened something they were not prepared to face. The reckoning Admiral Zess of the Zephyrian Corsair fleet felt confident as her ships approached the human agricultural world of New Eden. The planet was listed in galactic databases as a simple farming colony with no military installations and a population of peaceful settlers. Intelligence reports indicated it would be an easy target for demonstrating that humans were not as powerful as they claimed. Perfect, she thought as her fleet of 50 warships moved through space toward the defenseless world. We will take this planet quickly and show the galaxy that human threats are meaningless. One agricultural world captured, and their whole border claim will collapse. The Zephyrian people looked like giant insects with shiny blue skin and multiple arms. They were natural raiders who had built their empire by taking what they wanted from weaker species. Admiral Zess had personally conquered 12 worlds and destroyed countless ships. She was considered one of the finest military commanders in Zephyrian space. Admiral, called out her tactical officer, we are approaching the planet. Sensors show exactly what the intelligence reports indicated. Farming settlements, grain storage facilities, and livestock areas. No military installations detected. Admiral Zess smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Excellent. Begin the attack. Target the main settlements first. We want survivors who can tell the galaxy how easily we defeated the humans. The Corsair fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel and moved into attack formation around New Eden. The planet looked exactly as expected. Green fields stretched across the continents. Large buildings that appeared to be grain storage facilities dotted the landscape. Herds of animals grazed peacefully in fenced areas. All ships, begin orbital bombardment, Admiral Zess ordered. Light strikes only. We want to capture the planet, not destroy it. The first energy beams from the Zephyrian ships struck the planet's surface. But instead of exploding farming equipment and destroying storage buildings, something impossible happened. The energy was absorbed completely, disappearing into what had appeared to be ordinary agricultural facilities. Tactical report, Admiral Zess snapped. Why are our weapons having no effect? Before her officer could respond, the planet's surface began to change. The grain storage facilities opened like flower petals, revealing massive weapon systems. Underneath, the livestock areas transformed as the animals suddenly stood up on mechanical legs, revealing themselves to be sophisticated combat drones. Even the farmhouses reconfigured themselves into defensive positions. It's a trap, shouted the tactical officer. The entire planet is a military installation disguised as a farm. Defensive platforms began rising from concealed positions all across the planet's surface. These were not simple weapons, but massive rail guns capable of accelerating projectiles to incredible speeds. The first shots reached the Zephyrian fleet before Admiral Zess could even give orders to retreat. The lead cruiser, Swift Death, was struck by a projectile moving at nearly the speed of light. The impact was so powerful that the ship simply ceased to exist, converted instantly into a cloud of superheated plasma and metal fragments. Shields up! Evasive maneuvers! Admiral Zess screamed, but it was already too late. The human weapons fired with mechanical precision. Every shot was perfectly aimed. Every projectile found its target. The Zephyrian ships, built for raiding defenseless worlds, had no defense against weapons designed specifically to destroy them. But the real shock came when Admiral Zess tried to coordinate her fleet's response. Her tactical displays began showing impossible information. Her own ships were targeting each other. Navigation systems were setting collision courses. Weapon systems were refusing to fire at the planet while automatically locking onto Zephyrian vessels. Computer systems compromised, her technical officer reported in panic. Someone else is controlling our ships. Admiral Zess watched in horror as her own flagship began targeting the vessel next to it. Her weapons fired without her command, destroying a ship filled with her own people. Throughout the fleet, the same thing was happening. Zephyrian ships were turning their weapons on each other, guided by some external force. A communication signal appeared on her screen. It showed a human woman in a simple farming outfit, standing in what appeared to be a grain field. Behind her, massive weapon systems continued firing at the Zephyrian fleet. Admiral Zess, the human woman said calmly, I am Colonel Sarah Mitchell, military commander of New Eden. Did you really think we would build an agricultural world without preparing for exactly this kind of attack? How? Admiral Zess gasped as another of her ships exploded, destroyed by its own allies' weapons. How are you controlling our ships? Colonel Mitchell smiled. For 30 years, your people have been selling us computer systems, navigation equipment, and weapons technology. Did you really think we would buy all that equipment without studying how it works? Every circuit board you sold us, every software program you shared, every technical manual you provided, we learned from all of it. The horrible truth began to dawn on Admiral Zess. The humans had not just been buying Zephyrian technology. They had been studying it, understanding it, and finding ways to control it. Every computer system in your fleet has security vulnerabilities that we built into the designs years ago, Colonel Mitchell continued. Every navigation program has backdoors that we can access remotely. Every weapon system has override codes that we installed during the manufacturing process. Admiral Zess realized that her entire fleet was helpless. Her own technology had been turned against her by the very people she had come to attack. But the intelligence reports, she whispered. They said this was just a farming world. It is a farming world, Colonel Mitchell replied. We grow enough food here to feed 20 planets, but we also knew that sooner or later someone would try to attack a human agricultural world to prove a point about our defensive capabilities. The human gestured toward the weapon systems that were systematically destroying the Zephyrian fleet. So, We built New Eden to serve two purposes. It feeds our people and it protects them. Every farming facility on this planet can transform into a military installation within minutes. Every piece of agricultural equipment can become a weapon system. Every animal in our fields is actually a combat drone programmed to defend human civilians. Admiral Zess watched helplessly as the last of her escort ships destroyed itself, its weapon systems completely under human control. Her own flagship was now alone, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been one of the most feared fleets in Zephyrian space. "We have been preparing for this day for decades," Colonel Mitchell said. "While you thought you were selling us technology, we were learning how to defeat you. While you thought you were studying us, we were studying you right back. And while you thought we were weak farmers who could be easily conquered, we were building the most sophisticated planetary defense system in the galaxy." The colonel's expression grew serious. "You came here to prove that humans are weak. Instead, you have proven that aliens who attack human civilians will face consequences they never imagined." Admiral Zess felt her ship shudder as human-controlled systems began shutting down her life support. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you go home," Colonel Mitchell replied. "You tell your government exactly what happened here. You explain that human agricultural worlds are not defenseless targets. You make it clear that any future attacks on human civilians will result in the complete destruction of whoever is foolish enough to try." The Admiral's ship was gently but firmly pushed away from the planet by tractor beams controlled from the surface. As her vessel limped away from New Eden, Admiral Zess could see the human defenses transforming back into innocent-looking farm buildings. Within hours, the disguised military installations had once again become grain storage facilities. The combat drones had resumed their positions as peaceful livestock. The railguns had hidden themselves beneath what appeared to be ordinary farmhouses. To any ship passing by, New Eden would look exactly like a simple agricultural world once again. Admiral Zess sent her report to the Zephyrian government, but she knew that no one would believe the full truth of what had happened. How could she explain that an entire planet had been transformed from a farm into a fortress in minutes? How could she describe weapons systems disguised as grain silos? How could she make anyone understand that the humans had been planning for this exact attack for decades? But the evidence was undeniable. An entire Corsair fleet had been destroyed by a single agricultural world. 50 warships had been defeated by farmers and their hidden defenses. The message was clear. There were no easy targets in human space. Every world, no matter how peaceful it appeared, was prepared for war. The galaxy was beginning to learn that humans did not just defend their borders with military ships and space stations. They defended their territory with patience, planning, and a willingness to turn every aspect of their civilization into a weapon if necessary. And they had been planning for much longer than anyone had imagined. The New Order 6 months had passed since Ambassador Elena Vasquez had declared Terran borders off-limits to alien ships. In that time, the galaxy had learned harsh lessons about underestimating humanity. The Galactic Council chamber was fuller than it had ever been before. But the mood was very different from the last time aliens had gathered to hear humans speak. Chancellor Thex of the Hegemony stood at the central podium, but he looked nothing like the confident leader who had mocked human threats half a year ago. His green skin had turned pale and his forearms trembled as he spoke. Behind him sat the broken remains of what had once been the galaxy's most powerful governments. "Fellow beings," he began, his voice barely audible in the vast chamber. "We are here today to discuss a new reality. The events of the past 6 months have shown us that our understanding of human capabilities was incorrect. The word incorrect was perhaps the greatest understatement in galactic history. Over the past 6 months, 12 alien governments had lost their entire military fleets. 47 star systems had suffered complete communication blackouts when their computer networks were taken over by human cyber warfare programs. 3 major trade routes had been shut down when every alien ship attempting to use them simply stopped working. The Zephyrian trade empire, Chancellor Thex continued, lost its entire Corsair fleet to a single human agricultural world. The Vorthan Collective's computer networks have been completely compromised. The Corlean Imperial Fleet has been unable to leave their home system for 3 months because their navigation systems no longer obey their commands. In the section reserved for the mystic orders, High Priest Keller sat in meditation, his pale face showing the strain of recent events. His people's ability to see the future had been rendered useless when humans began using technology that somehow blocked psychic abilities. Their most sacred temples had been infiltrated by human agents who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The question before us today, Chancellor Thek said, is simple. Do we continue to fight a war we cannot win, or do we accept the new reality and seek peace with humanity? Trade Prince Vex of the Zephyrians rose slowly from his seat. His once shiny blue skin was dull with stress, and his clicking voice was weak. Honored colleagues, he said, my government has lost 90% of its military forces. Our trade networks have collapsed. Our colonies are cut off from each other because human cyber attacks have destroyed our communication systems. He paused, struggling to continue. Yesterday we discovered that humans have been inside our computer networks for over 40 years. Every trade deal we made, every military plan we created, every secret we thought we kept. They knew about all of it. Commander Vash of the Corlean Empire stood up in his section. The proud warrior looked defeated, his wolf-like features showing exhaustion and fear. My people are warriors, he growled. We have conquered 100 worlds. We fear no enemy in honest battle. He gestured helplessly with his clawed hands. But how do you fight an enemy who has been living inside your own technology for decades? How do you battle ships that turn your own weapons against you? How do you defeat people who know your plans before you make them? The chamber was silent as the implications of his words sank in. The greatest military powers in the galaxy had been reduced to helplessness in 6 months. Not by superior numbers or more powerful weapons, but by an enemy who had been patiently preparing for this moment for decades. Dr. Zeth of the Vorthon Collective began to glow more brightly, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The humans did not just defend themselves, she said, her light patterns conveying distress. They systematically dismantled our entire civilization's technological infrastructure. Every computer system, every communication network, every automated system we depend on, they can control all of it. The truth was even worse than Dr. Zeth described. Human agents had revealed themselves in positions throughout alien governments. Trusted advisors turned out to be human spies, computer technicians, who had worked for alien militaries for years, suddenly activated programs that shut down entire starfleets. Trade agreements that had seemed beneficial to alien species were revealed to contain hidden clauses that gave humans legal control over vast resources. They played the long game, whispered Ambassador Kell of the Outer Rim Confederation. While we were making short-term plans to exploit them, they were making long-term plans to protect themselves. Chancellor Thex nodded sadly. The humans spent 50 years learning everything about us while we learned almost nothing about them. They studied our technology, our tactics, our psychology, our weaknesses. They placed agents in our government's backdoors in our computer systems and vulnerabilities in our infrastructure. He looked around the chamber at the defeated alien representatives, and when we finally forced them to defend themselves, they activated preparations that had been decades in the making. A new voice spoke from the chamber's communication system. It was Ambassador Elena Vasquez, speaking from Earth. The humans had not sent a physical delegation to this emergency session of the Galactic Council. Honored members of the Council, her voice said clearly, we have been monitoring your discussion as we monitor all Council proceedings. The casual admission that humans were listening to what was supposed to be a private session sent chills through every alien present. You are correct that we have been preparing for this situation for many years, Ambassador Vasquez continued. When peaceful negotiations failed, when our formal complaints were ignored, when our people were kidnapped and experimented upon, we realized that we could not rely on galactic law or alien goodwill to protect humanity. The screen in the center of the chamber activated, showing Ambassador Vasquez sitting in her office on Earth. Behind her, through a window, the skyline of Geneva could be seen. It looked peaceful and normal, giving no hint of the incredible military, and intelligence capabilities that humanity had revealed. So we took steps to ensure our own security, she said. We studied your technologies until we understood them better than you did. We placed our own people in positions where they could monitor your activities. We built defenses that could protect human worlds from any conceivable attack. She paused, looking directly into the camera. And we waited. We hoped that you would eventually accept our reasonable requests for respect and cooperation. We hoped that the evidence of your crimes against humanity would lead to apologies and changes in behavior. Her expression hardened. Instead, you tested our resolve with military force. You attacked our civilians. You proved that the only language you understand is strength. Chancellor Thex found his voice. Ambassador Vasquez, he said carefully, what would humanity require for peace between our peoples? The terms are simple, she replied. First, complete recognition of human territorial sovereignty. No alien ship enters Terran space without permission. Second, full reparations for all crimes committed against human civilians, including the return of all prisoners and the punishment of those responsible. Third, complete transparency in all future dealings with humanity. She leaned forward in her chair. And fourth, the galaxy must understand that the age of exploiting junior species is over. Humanity will not tolerate the abuse of any sapient beings, whether they are human or not. The aliens in the chamber looked at each other with expressions of shock. The humans were not just demanding protection for themselves. They were claiming the right to protect other species as well. If we agree to these terms, asked Dr. Zeth, what assurance do we have that humans will not use their capabilities against us in the future? Ambassador Vasquez smiled, but it was not entirely reassuring. You have the same assurance you always had, Dr. Zeth. As long as you treat us with respect and honor your agreements, you have nothing to fear from humanity. Her smile faded. But if you betray our trust again, if you harm human civilians again, if you decide that you want to test our resolve again, she paused, then you will discover that what you have seen so far is only a small demonstration of human capabilities. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in absolute silence. After long minutes, Chancellor Thex spoke again. I move that the Galactic Council formally recognize the sovereignty of Terran space and accept all human terms for peace. The vote was unanimous. Not because the aliens suddenly loved humanity, but because they finally understood what humans had been trying to tell them for 50 years. Sometimes the quiet ones are quiet because they are busy preparing for the day when talking stops working. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not a junior species to be exploited or ignored. They were patient, thorough, and absolutely ruthless when protecting their own people. And now, like it or not, they were the new dominant power in galactic politics. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and this time it would be on humanity's terms.